Good morning. It is Thursday morning, September 23rd. Welcome everyone this morning. Full moon, cool morning. Fall is on its way. Janisa, good morning to you. Sally Crocker, welcome this morning. On our final day of our devotions for the week. Dana Kreshock, good morning. Jim and Kathy Fuente, Lori Agassi, welcome everyone. Deanne Fine, welcome to you. Katya Myers, good morning. And if Kyle's there, or the kiddos, good to see you this morning. Daryl and Suzanne, welcome. Alyssa Tucker, good morning to you. Marcy Walters, good morning to you. Mike and Joe Stromberg, Carmen Lego. You know, I don't know that it's just the day of the week that you have more names, right off the bat, or people have been telling me too that Facebook doesn't always notify when I go live, and it takes a while for people to find the live stream. Debbie King, good morning. So I wonder if it's just kind of hit and miss that way. If all of a sudden I go live, and all of a sudden everybody gets a notification, boom, they're here. Otherwise, sometimes I've heard that it takes a bit to find the live stream, and then you come in maybe a little bit later than when I began. There's my mom. Good morning to you. So we're in Proverbs 23 today. Proverbs 23 is the continuation of the 30 wise sayings that began in Proverbs 22. I didn't mention that yesterday because I was covering a different proverb yesterday. But about midway through Proverbs 22 begins, the father saying, here are 30 wise sayings. And there's a list of them. And I think today's proverb that I'm going to read, the saying, is like the 6th or 7th saying in the list. That doesn't really matter, other than it's maybe an interesting observation. So this saying takes place over, eight verses. It's 8 verses long. And it was a little cryptic when I first read it. And as I started meditating on it and thinking about it more and more and more, it kind of hit me finally what the saying was pointing to. And it actually provoked a lot of emotion in me. And I'll explain in a moment. So here's the saying. These are first 8 verses of chapter 23 in Proverbs. Says, when you sit down to eat with a ruler, observe carefully what is put before you, and put a knife to your throat if you are given to appetite, or I think some translations say gluttony. So he's using very colorful language already. You're sitting before this great banquet, beautiful, delicious food is before you, and if you're given to gluttony, it'd be better if to not put your knife to the food, but put it to your throat, to avoid it. So at first I was thinking, oh, this is a proverb about gluttony, or keeping your eyes on something you desire, right? Verse 3, do not desire his delicacies, for they are deceptive food. Do not toil to acquire wealth. Be discerning enough to desist. So then I started thinking, okay, it's gluttony. You're trying to acquire wealth, but then wealth can be misleading. It's not where you really put your trust. I'm trying to figure out what is the heart of this proverb. When your eyes light on it or remain on it, you start to focus on it, it's gone. For suddenly it sprouts wings, flying like an eagle toward heaven. So is the reason you're not supposed to eat this food to avoid gluttony? Is the reason you're not supposed to look at wealth because you can't trust it? Again, meditating on what this proverb could mean. Verse 6, do not eat the bread of a man who is stingy. Do not desire his delicacies, for he is like one who is inwardly calculating. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. So are these two different people? You're eating with the ruler who's given you all the riches. And okay, so make sure you're not being gluttonous. Make sure you're not chasing after riches. I wasn't sure why the connection with the person giving it to you. And then you have this other person who's stingy, who may be setting a table before you, but his heart's not with you because he's like, yeah, eat. There's an appearance of generosity, but really he's not happy you're eating his food. I thought of someone like Scrooge, right? Who's a miser, Are these the same person? Different people? Trying to figure it out. And in the end, verse 8, you will vomit up the morsels that you have eaten and waste your pleasant words. And that ending verse, I couldn't figure out how it was connected. I thought maybe it's a new saying, but it wasn't. It was connected to the previous. So why would the food that a stingy person gives me ultimately come back to haunt me? I mean, they're the ones with the problem. It seems like if they're being like Scrooge, they're really pretending to be generous, but in the end, they really don't want to be generous. Maybe they're doing it for appearance's sake, It's really on them, right? And so I kept thinking about this and thinking about it, and trying to figure out what on earth is happening here that I'm supposed to avoid. What is the big picture? All these 8 verses go together. What is the proverb writer telling me? And it dawned on me that the ruler and the stingy man are the same thing, same person. There's a banquet set before me, but and with this richness and generosity, but the generosity isn't authentic. It's deceptive. And I will regret it if I eat it. That's the kind of the heart of the proverb. And so what the end result ended up being in my mind was, be careful to receive generosity and gifts from one who will ultimately use that to influence you. Use that to say, you owe me. To use that as leverage to manipulate you and your life. Particularly someone who, it appears that this person is talking about has uses their wealth to gain quite a bit of leverage in someone's life. So a gift there's another saying that this gift comes with strings attached. In other words, it's not just a free gift that you're getting. There's an expectation that you will pay for this gift in one way or another. It's free right now, but I'm going to call this debt when it's, if I'm the giver, I'm going to call this debt. You're in debt to me now that I've given you this gift, and I'm going to call this debt into account when it's right for me. And all of a sudden, this is, I think, akin to a little bit into the proverb that was, I think, a part of yesterday or day before's chapter. I didn't read it, but a part of our devotion. But it's the proverb that says the borrower is servant to the lender. Except for in that occasion, the borrower and the lender, it's very clear that they have a transaction that money that they're borrowing needs to be paid back. They become the slave to the lender. They must do their bidding. When that lender calls that debt into account, it's a known thing. It's going to happen. So when you get a loan, you're going to have to pay it back. You have agreed upon the terms, and you're going into that relationship knowing that until that debt's paid off, you are beholden to that lender. Whereas in this case, in Proverbs 23, the terms of the contract are not talked about. It's deceptive, and they're giving you these things with the appearance of generosity, with the appearance of this is a gift. And I'm just being kind and loving and all these things to you. And unbeknownst to you, who are happily eating this banquet, receiving these gifts, that person is going to, when at time it serves them best, going to call this debt, and you will be expected to do what they want because they have given you this gift. And this happens in very mild ways in life, in lots of relationships, but this also can happen in very devastating ways. People that are close to you, or people that give, or that are quite generous, all of a sudden they do something or act in a way to put leverage on you in a very unhealthy way that really affects you. Emotionally, it affects other relationships. And I know this because this has happened to me on more than one occasion. I can see this happen. This has happened to me at least twice. And one time it really very tragically affected my life. And so I was very sad to reflect on that experience. Being a position, for me, being in a position of influence as a pastor, and you're doing things to help and serve other people, people are occasionally more generous with me, with Martha and I, than would be a normal just friendship. Their gift is because they have already received something from me that I have given freely, all of my life or my teaching or whatever it is, and then they feel in their own heart, hey, I would love to give a gift to express my appreciation. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. The Bible even talks about it in Galatians chapter 6 with regard to people who are in teaching responsibilities or positions of influence. It's if you receive something from that person, it's okay to give something to say, hey, I appreciate what you do in my life and how you've affected my life. So knowing that, I have very humbly accepted gifts from people. Sometimes people say, hey, I have a timeshare. I'm not going to use it. I was thinking of you. Can you use it? I mean, what a very generous types of gifts toward Martha and I that we've really enjoyed over the years. But it's not, they have not come in a way that I'm giving you this gift in order to gain to put you in my debt so that I can use you as a person of influence to do my bidding because of my generosity toward you. The gift is come after or in exchange for something that's already taken place. That's kind of the true generous nature of it. But occasionally people will give gifts unsolicited that they do want influence over your position of my position of influence, and I will be ill-used in that way. And I have to be very discerning. There are times where if I wasn't sure about the gift and the person, really not just the gift itself, but the person giving it to me, I would reject the gift. Hey, I can't accept that. I'm sorry. And I hate having to be discerning in that way. It makes me sad that a proverb like this has to be written, because if it lands in the book of Proverbs, it means that this type of situation happens with enough regularity that you can't just trust people who appear generous. You really have to discern how this is going to nip you later, how this could be used against you later. And for me, especially as a position that I have as a pastor in a position of influence, it's our policy at Grace that we don't know. People are the elders, the pastoral staff, and we don't know who gives what to Grace. That's kept from us by design so that we aren't unnecessarily influenced by a person or a family that is particularly generous to the work of the Lord here at Grace. And so we want to treat everyone equally as possible, so as not to have someone who, oh, they're a really big giver, I need to please them, and I'll change whatever I do that might be offensive to them in order to retain their continued generosity. We don't want that kind of influence in our leadership, so we keep those kind of things separate, to guard the true nature of the generosity of the gift, to guard the purity of how we lead as much as possible. We're just human beings. We're influenced by a lot of things that sometimes we're aware of those things and sometimes we're not. And unfortunately, it's a known thing that money influences people. So we got to be really careful. But in our day-to-day world, this is a proverb that not just happens to people like in a position of responsibility, but in everyday life, we can experience people who are who are giving something that is very generous, who ultimately can use it against us for leverage. They're going to call that debt to be repaid on their terms at their time, and we have to be discerning to not allow this generous gift to be received. I'd rather put a knife to my throat than eat the food you're offering me, because I'm discerning that you're going to use this against me. You're the kind of person who's going to use this against me. And unfortunately, we don't always know. We can't see people's hearts. We can't see people's motives. And sometimes generosity just feels like it's very pure and very good. And in the end, it's not till the person reveals their true intention that we get burned. And we're like, really? I didn't realize this gift came with such strings attached. And unfortunately, we all learn it the hard way. We usually learn it after the fact, and we have to then put a distance between us and this person and their generosity. We just learn not to receive gifts from this person because they're going to use it against you. And it's very sad. It's a sad part of our human reality, and my heart has been injured very deeply on more than one occasion by this type of activity. And in part, I don't blame the person. Oftentimes, they're just an unhealthy person. They're trying to gain something through this leverage that really speaks to a brokenness in their own heart and their own soul. So I can have compassion. I just have to have also a boundary. I can be compassionate toward you and recognize that there's brokenness in you. But definitely you have to put a boundary up. You can't allow that kind of activity to be present in your life. So, I'd like to choose the Proverbs that seem more uplifting, but many of the Proverbs are warnings. They begin with the phrase, do not, or avoid this. And to live a skillful life, unfortunately, we have to sometimes be alert and avoid that something that appears to be good can ultimately be leveraged against us in a bad or negative way. And so we have to be wise in our dealings with people, and particularly in this area of generosity. So that's the word for the day. I hope that it serves you and has served you if you've already learned this proverb the hard way. Teach it to your children, teach it to other people. It's kind of a jaded proverb, but it's an important one. So anyway, we will see you this upcoming Sunday if you attend Grace, and if not, we'll see you back here Monday morning. Have a great weekend.